My brother didn't even look up from his mashed potatoes when he said it. You should start looking for your own place, Maya. No tension, no warning, just a quiet sentence dropped into the middle of a Sunday family dinner I paid for. My aunt stopped slicing her ham. My cousin paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. My mother stared at her plate like it was something holy she needed to pray over. I kept my voice steady, even as something inside me cracked so sharply it felt like the room must have heard it. The air smelled like roasted rosemary chicken, honey-glazed carrots, and the cornbread I baked from scratch. But all I could taste was disbelief. I didn't yell. I didn't demand an explanation. I didn't ask why the same family that had leaned on my income for nearly a year suddenly wanted me gone. I just sat there, quietly realizing I'd been dismissed from the very household I was holding together. Before all this, my life didn't look like a dining table where I paid for every warm dish and every light bulb in the room. A year before that day, I had been living in a small third-floor apartment just outside uptown Charlotte. A cozy place with soft gray walls, thrifted furniture, and plants lined up along the windowsill like green little soldiers surviving on sunlight and hope. It smelled like coffee, candle wax, and independence. I worked fully remote as a systems analyst for a tech firm. The paycheck wasn't flashy, but it was stable. I paid my rent early, I meal prepped on Sundays, I kept my space clean. For the first time in my life, I felt balanced, rooted, calm. Then my mother called. Not a normal call, not the "Hey Maya, how's work" type. This one came in with trembling breaths and long, panic pauses between each word. She told me the house, our family home, the one in Pine Hills, was slipping through the cracks. Mortgage months behind, water bill overdue, car insurance unpaid. The savings she once bragged about? Gone. She didn't tell me how, just that she didn't know what to do. The house wasn't perfect, but it held echoes of my father. His handwriting was still visible in pencil on the doorframe where he measured our heights every birthday. His old Carolina Panthers hoodie still hung in the hallway closet because none of us could bring ourselves to donate it. His cologne bottle sat on the bathroom shelf like it was still waiting for him. The thought of losing all that, of erasing him, squeezed something deep inside me. So I moved back. My mother cried with relief, hugging me so tightly my ribs felt it. She saved us, she said over and over. She called me her rock, her blessing, her miracle. And for a moment, I believed her. I ended my lease early, packed my entire apartment in a single weekend, told myself it was temporary just until she found her footing. My brother thanked me at first, saying we'd figured things out as a family. My aunt called me responsible, mature. But weeks turned into months, and gratitude melted into routine, then into expectation, then into entitlement. I paid the mortgage, then the electric bill, then the groceries, then the internet, then the repairs, then the small luxuries my mother claimed she needed. The new TV, the salon visits, the subscription boxes. Whenever I gently asked whether she'd applied for new jobs, she sighed dramatically, like I just added stress to her life. It's hard for someone my age, Maya. You wouldn't understand. Meanwhile, she lounged on the couch I bought, under the ceiling fan I paid to repair, while scrolling through her iPad, also mine. My brother defended her constantly. She's overwhelmed, give her time. But the truth was clearer than any excuse they tried to sweeten the situation with. I wasn't a daughter helping out. I was the financial backbone of the entire household, and everyone expected me to keep carrying the weight without complaint. It didn't shift overnight. It crept in slowly, like cold sliding through old window frames. So slow, you don't notice until you're shivering. It started with the Wi-Fi. One night, during an after-hours work call, my mother banged open my door. "Ever since you moved in with all your tech stuff, the internet is useless. I can't even watch my shows." Her shows. On the streaming platforms I paid for, using the upgraded internet plan I financed. Then came the kitchen chores. I'd come home from a long day at the office, because some days I had to go in, and see a sink full of clean dishes. My mother would sit at the table texting her friends. "Oh, good. Can you put those away? My back is acting up today." Funny how her back never acted up during her shopping trips with friends. By early November, the house no longer felt like the place I grew up in. It felt like a box closing around me. Bills piling, chores multiplying, my mother's expectations sharpening like tiny knives. I told myself Thanksgiving would soften things. Maybe gratitude would remind us we were still family. So I hosted, cooked, baked, cleaned, bought groceries from a nicer store than usual, picked out gifts for my mother and brother, prepared the house like I was staging a peace offering. When Sunday dinner rolled around, the house glowed warm. String lights draped the windows, the table was set with the best dishes, food smelled rich and comforting. My aunt and cousin joined us, chatting happily. For a second, I let myself breathe. And then, right in the middle of dinner, my brother stabbed his fork into his potatoes and said the sentence that hollowed me out. "You should start looking for your own place, Maya. It's time." A decision already made. I blinked slowly. "I paid the mortgage," I said quietly, "and the utilities, and the groceries, and Maya," my mother cut in, not looking at me. "We all need more space. You've been a lot lately. A lot." That was the moment something inside me stopped trying to be useful. I didn't argue, didn't throw a scene, didn't slam anything. I simply stood up, pushed my chair in gently, and excused myself. In my childhood bedroom, the one with the outdated wallpaper and squeaky bed frame, I sat at the edge of the mattress waiting for anger or tears to come. Neither did. All I felt was a clean, terrifying emptiness. So I made a choice. I pulled my dusty suitcase from the closet, set it on the bed, opened it to the familiar creak, and I started to pack. Not my memories, not my childhood, not the weight of my family. Just the essentials, the things that truly belong to me. And for the first time in months, the next step belonged entirely to me. I didn't pack much, just what felt like it belonged to the version of myself I was trying to find again. Clothes I actually wore, my laptop, chargers, my journal, a few small things that reminded me I had a life before this house swallowed me whole. Everything else felt unnecessary, heavy, tied to a life that drained me far more than it held me. For the first time in a long time, I felt something shift. Control, direction, choice. I booked a week at a motel off Independence Boulevard. Nothing fancy, just a place with free Wi-Fi and a bed that didn't belong to anyone else. When the confirmation email hit my inbox, I swear it felt like a breath I'd been holding for a year finally escaped. I waited for my phone to ring. A message, a missed call, something, anything. But nothing came. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Not a word. At first, it stung. Then it settled into clarity so sharp it almost felt like relief. My absence wasn't a crisis. It was a convenience. I sat on the edge of the stiff motel bed the morning of the third day, scrolling through apartment listings when my phone buzzed. My sister. "You won't believe what Mom is telling everyone." I stared at the screen, already knowing it wouldn't be good. And it wasn't. According to my mother, I had screamed, thrown a fit, broken a dish, stormed out, left her with no money, left without warning, disrespected the home she gave me. The lies weren't even subtle. They were dramatic, crafted, performed. She hadn't only told my aunt, She told multiple relatives, and they had rallied to her like she was the wounded saint of the story. It wasn't enough for her to push me out. She needed to rewrite the ending. Something tightened inside me. Not anger, not sadness. Resolve. If she wanted a narrative, I'd give the truth a stage. Not through shouting, not through arguing, not through begging her to see me. Through transparency, through facts, through light. But first, I let her story simmer. I let it expand until even the people who adored family drama started to think, that doesn't sound like Maya. Meanwhile, I moved quietly, went to work, browsed apartments, ate cheap motel breakfasts, waited for the storm she built to reach me. And eventually, it did. My aunt called first, the one who moved to Tennessee years ago. Her voice was sharp, coated in disappointment. I heard you threw a tantrum at dinner. Your mother is devastated. I can't believe you walked out on her after everything she's done for you. I almost laughed. Almost. But laughter would have been too loud for the truth sitting in my chest. So instead of arguing, I stayed quiet. Let her speak. Let her believe what she needed to believe. Let her feel righteous. Because I knew something that years of experience had taught me. If you defend yourself in private, manipulators simply adjust the narrative. If you defend yourself in public with proof, they lose control. So that night, under the soft yellow motel light, I opened my laptop and I wrote. Not a rant, not an emotional plea, not a personal attack. Just facts. A calm, time-stamped timeline. Every bill I paid, every grocery trip, every repair, every time I covered something just this once, every sacrifice I made, every quiet night I held that house together, and how the dinner unfolded without shouting, without drama, without broken dishes. I wrote that I left quietly because I was asked to, and I ended it with a single sentence. I am safe, and I hope honesty leads us all forward. No accusations, no bitterness, just truth. I hit post, closed my laptop, turned off my phone, and went to sleep. The next morning, when I powered it back on, the screen lit up so brightly it reflected off the motel walls. Notifications exploded. Texts, DMs, calls, voicemails, comments. The truth had split my mother's story cleanly down the middle. My cousin, usually quiet, wrote first. I knew something didn't add up. I'm so sorry. Let me know if you need anything. Another relative wrote, Your mom didn't tell us any of this. Are you okay? My aunt, the same one who scolded me the day before, messaged again. I didn't know the whole story. I'm sorry, sweetheart. That must have been horrible. My grandmother, who rarely called anyone, left a voicemail full of tears asking to speak with me. And my sister? She sent a panicked text. Mom is losing it. She says you're turning the family against her. But for the first time in a year, I felt something shift inside me. People were finally seeing me. Not the villain in her story, just me. In the middle of this chaos, though, my mother didn't call. Not that day, not the next, not the day after. A week later, after I'd moved into a new studio apartment, a bright little place with cheap flooring, sunlight warming the walls, and air that felt like possibility, someone knocked on my door. A soft, deliberate knock. And in my chest, I already knew who it was. I knew it was her before I even opened the door. The knock was too careful, too measured, the way my mother always tapped when she wanted to seem gentle instead of intrusive. I stood there for a moment, letting my breath quiet itself, letting the newness of my apartment settle around me like a protective shell. When I finally opened the door, there she was, my mother, Beverly Thompson, standing in the hallway of my building, holding a bakery pie in a plastic container like it was some kind of peace treaty. Her makeup was perfect, her hair was styled, her expression was arranged with precision. But beneath all that, I saw something I hadn't seen in a long time. Nervousness. "She had your moved here," she said softly, offering a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "I thought I'd stop by. I brought dessert." She lifted the pie a little, as if presenting it would erase the last calendar year. I stepped outside and gently closed the door behind me. Not slamming it, not sending a message, just drawing a boundary. She blinked at the closed door confused for a fraction of a second before recovering. "Aren't you going to invite me in? It's cold." I didn't answer her question. Instead, I asked the one that mattered. "Did you come to apologize?" Her face flickered, just for a moment, like a candle flame struggling to stay lit. But instead of humility, something else rose in her expression: indignation. "Well," she began slowly, "I don't think I need to apologize. We both made mistakes, but that post you made, that was hurtful, Maya. You embarrassed me." There it was, the truth. Not the emotional heart of it, but the structural core of who she was. She wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She was sorry she'd been exposed. I breathed in slowly. The hallway smelled faintly of someone cooking down the hall, maybe chili and something metallic from the elevator. It grounded me, reminded me that this was my space now, my life. "This isn't about embarrassment," I said quietly. "It's about everything you expected me to carry, everything you put on me, and how easily you pushed me out when I couldn't carry it anymore." She parted her lips like she wanted to deny it, cry, redirect, but I didn't let her feel the silence first. "You told me to leave," I murmured. "I just listened." Her eyes hardened, a familiar shift I'd seen my entire childhood. "So that's it? After everything I've done for you, you're shutting me out?" The irony almost made me laugh. Almost. "But after everything I did for you," I corrected. "You didn't lose the house because I wasn't trying. You kept it because I was. And when I stopped being useful, that was it. You decided it was time for me to go." She flinched, the way people do when truth hits an unshielded part of them. But she didn't apologize. She didn't soften. She didn't reach for understanding. She searched for control. "You're being dramatic," she said, lifting her chin. "Families go through things, but airing dirty laundry? This isn't laundry. It's my life. And for the first time in that house, I'm not letting anyone else narrate it." She stared at me, really stared at me, and I saw it. The shift. The recognition, the realization that the version of me she could twist, guilt trip, or manipulate was gone. She saw a woman she could no longer bend. A woman with her own home, her own peace, her own voice. A woman who had finally stepped outside the emotional cage she crafted around her. I stepped back toward my door. "Take care of yourself," I said softly, and then I closed the door. Not hard, not with anger, not with revenge, just closure. Through the peer hole, I watched her stand there for a long moment, frozen, holding the pie like she didn't know what purpose it served anymore. Eventually, she set it down on the floor, gently, almost carefully, and walked away down the hallway. I didn't pick it up. Inside, sunlight spilled across my small studio apartment, catching the dust in soft, floating patterns. The walls echoed with quiet. Real quiet. Not the heavy, guilt-soaked silence of my old home. A clean quiet. A peaceful one. The kind you build for yourself. I didn't feel triumphant, or victorious, or spiteful. I felt free. For the first time in years, freedom didn't feel like something I had to fight for. It felt like something I earned. Life slowly settled after that day. Not noisily, not dramatically, just gently. My studio apartment, as small as it was, became the first place in a long time where every bill, every object, every moment belonged entirely to me.